It is Tuesday, February 14th, sometimes known as Valentine's Day. This is the Iroquois County Board meeting. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Alt, Behrens, Bentz, Bowers, Crow, Ducat, Geiger, Hughes, McGinnis, McTaggart, Awful, Sure,
Yep.
Watts, Whitlow, Williams, Zumwalt.
Present.
Okay, Mrs. Awful.
Yes, good morning. Today we have Pastor Trey Shepherd from Grace Bible Church in Sister Park.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for letting me be here. Let's pray and we'll get started. Our Father, we thank you for the day. We recognize that you are the sovereign God over all creation. Lord, that the very earth we live on was made by you. Lord, the breath that we breathe is given by you. And all of these good things are from your hand. And so we pause and we give you thanks for our life and our health and our well-being. God, we thank you for all of the graces you give to us. Lord, we thank you for our country. We thank you for this state that we live in. We thank you for the county and for these men and women who serve faithfully to administer the government of it. And we pray for wisdom as they have things to consider and think about. God, give them discernment, a sense of unity and duty to their fellow neighbor. Lord God, we think of this day in particular where we celebrate human love. We're grateful for that in its various forms. But Lord, I'm reminded that you say that the greater love has no man than this, that he laid down his life for his friend. And so we pause and remember the great love that you have shown to us in the person and work of your son, Jesus, that he would die for our sins and be raised again. And Lord, that he would offer us reconciliation with you and new life, forgiveness of sins, and so much more through simple repentance and faith. Lord, be with this gathering, be with these men and women and their families today. May their conversations be pleasing to you and led by you. In Christ's name we ask it. And God's people said amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everyone should have a copy of the agenda in front of them. Do we have a motion to approve that? Mr. Hughes, do we have a second? Mrs. Awful, are there any questions or comments regarding the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Next, everybody was sent a copy of the minutes from our January 10th session. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes? Mr. Zumwalt, is there a second? Mr. Taggart, are there any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Next is payroll. We have a motion to approve the payroll. Mr. Behrens, is there a second? Mr. Williams, are there any questions or comments regarding the payroll? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Behrens,
Yes.
Bowers, Crow, Geiger,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
McTaggart,
Yes.
Awful,
Yes,
Sure,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Williams, Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, do we have any public comments this morning? Seeing none, we'll go to the chairman comments. Most of my comments are included in the minutes for the Policy and Procedure Committee. I did want to remind everybody that this Thursday night there is a dinner in the county where we anticipate our newly elected state representative will be attending. If any of you are interested in that, please see me after the meeting. I think it's important that every one of our board members has an opportunity to meet this man and develop a relationship with him, so please see me after the meeting if you are interested. That being said, we'll move on to outside organization reports, and we'll welcome Ashley, our new representative in the Workforce Investment Office.
So I am Ashley. Some of you might remember me from working for volunteer services for many years. And then now I'm working with Champaign County Regional Planning Commission. So I started in December, and now I'm actually in the Watsega office, and starting next Tuesday, I will be also in the Paxton office. So I will be over Iroquois and Ford County. Just a little bit. Sorry, I thought that was off. The youth, we serve youth, adults, dislocated workers, and in-school youth and out-of-school youth. So our youth, right now, we have 12 youth participants, all interested in the summer work program, looking for companies interested in becoming a WEX provider for the youth. Currently accepting applications for out-of-school youth. I am starting a job club with the youth, starting in March for job readiness skills. These will include interviews, resumes, filling out applications and forms, and so much more. I plan to continue this until the end of the year, having a meeting one time a month except during the summer months because they'll be in the WEX program. For adults, we have 9 adult participants currently, which are currently enrolled in a continuing education program. We have them in programs such as nursing, computer tech, and paralegal. Our application menu is currently closed, but it will reopen in June for the adults and dislocated workers and the youth. Right now, we just have openings for out-of-school youth. In March, I will be reaching out to employers about the WEX program and hopefully have a few more options for some of the youth. I have 3 interested in going to college for some type of construction, 3 in fields of computers and design, and 1 becoming an ag teacher. And the other ones are interested in mechanics. I will be attending the county board meetings every other month. I will be opening the Ford office again on February 21st, and I plan on being there every Monday and Tuesday. And the Watsega office will be Wednesday and Thursday. Walk-in hours will be 8:30 to 12, but the office is open 8:30 to 4:30. Friday is by appointment only. And I will also be at the WCHS Career Fair on March 30th.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you very much, Ashley.
I did bring some business cards. I'll put them on the back table if anyone wants any.
Good.
I'm gonna give this to you.
Thank you. Do we have any other outside organization reports this morning? Mr. McGinnis?
I have just 2, ICANN and UCCI. So on the 19th, myself and Mr. Hughes attended the ICANN committee meeting. Nothing important really came up. There was a discussion on just the increase in mental health issues with students and trying to come up with ways to combat that. And then UCCI, Paul went with me along with Ray down to the UCCI meeting, training on Open Meetings Act, disposal of public records. So just a regular meeting. In March is when they're planning their legislative reception. Emails are forthcoming. So if you want to go to that, you have to reserve RSVP, but it's a great opportunity to interact with the legislative reps down there. They haven't identified who will be coming. They send it out to all the representatives and senators for an invite, and it's usually hit and miss on who comes. So, and the governor is always invited, but rarely who comes.
When you were at the ICANN meeting, was there any mention made about the union contract had been resolved yet
With
with the probation people?
that, I can't.
excuse me, that's-
Yeah, okay.
I got him confused.
Yeah, that's okay. So I'm like, no, we don't have probation in our group. We have enough issues with Kankakee.
Okay,
Wind and solar was brought up, but that's old news now, so.
Yeah.
Which is in the other minutes, so.
okay, any other outside organization reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to the committee reports. This one. Members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred policy and procedure would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on February 2, 2023 at 9 a.m. Members present were Sher, Awful, and Whitlow. Paul Duquette, Michael McTaggart, and Lyle Barons were absent. Also present, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, County Clerk Brian Suber, EMA Director Eric Stacy, and County Board Member Doug Geiger. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Awful and seconded by Whitlow to approve the agenda. The motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. The committee chairs gave their monthly reports. Health Chairman Awful reported the committees will hear their standard reports. Judicial Chairman Whitlow reported the committee will also hear their standard reports, and Highway Chairman Alt reported the Highway Committee will review and approve their monthly claims. During Chairman comments, County Board Chairman Sure reported on Public Act 102-1123 and its impact on rural counties. The Tax Committee will be assigned the review and revision of the county's wind and solar ordinances as the Act gives 120 days to do so. The Act will take away the rights of the county to determine zoning in the rural areas. Sure explained that there is also a 1.5 mile setback required from any town, city, or village, which would prohibit any future growth. An update was given from the Negotiations Committee on the renewal of union contracts. The deputy sergeants and lieutenant contracts are ready to go to the county board for approval. The correctional officer's contract contained an error and is in the process of being corrected. The telecommunicators contract negotiations are currently on hold. Sure, County Board Vice Chairman Duquette and 911 Director Eric Raymond visited Champaign County on January 11th to discuss joint dispatch funding. The 911 statute expires at the end of the year, and there is a 911 advisory board in place. A flood conference is scheduled for March 10th, 2023 at the Kankakee Community College. Sure stressed the importance of the continued discussions on the flow of water in Iroquois County. Lastly, the city of Watseka sent a letter informing of the intention of funding to extend Martin Avenue. The city of Watseka plans to extend Martin Avenue to where it would connect to the courthouse road. Any comments, questions, or concerns would have to be into the city of Watseka by February 9 concerning the extension. EMA Director Eric Stacy stated that work is being completed on EMA's 32 core capabilities. The county operations plans and training exercise plans are due March 15, 2023. IEMA Region 7 held a webinar where suggested policy changes were discussed. Training exercise requirements, reducing the core capabilities, accreditation, cybersecurity requirements, and funding were just some of the possible changes that could occur. JC reported that a regional coordinator did a site visit in the past month. Training exercise requirements are behind, but Stacy plans to push out more exercises throughout the year. A cybersecurity audit is being planned on February 13th. That was yesterday, at no cost. The Hyper Reach contract is due for renewal. Stacy informed the committee that it would be a 3-year contract and is already been budgeted for. He plans to present it to the committee at a later date. Discussion on establishing a Facebook page for Iroquois County was tabled until next month. Finance Manager Joe Johnson gave an update on the sexual harassment training. The completion rate is at 40%. Johnson will email the link to those that need to complete the training and will hold an in-person training following the county board meeting. That's today. Continued discussion began on the personnel policy manual. The committee reviewed the policy along with the recommended changes from ICRMT as follows. Policy 1047, personnel records, page 102. The wording was added under the policy to include that health records are kept separate from personnel records. Policy 1049, personnel property, Iroquois County and personnel, including the word including keys, cell phones, laptops, or any other property, following the listing of currently stated software manuals and proprietary information. Policy 1050, personnel. Reference checks, page 104, under policy delete wage rates. Policy 1053, personnel. Safety standards, page 106. Under responsibility to include the sentence, department heads will begin an investigation into work-related injury, illness, property damage, or near-miss incident as soon as possible, and typically no later than 48 hours after the report of the incident. Policy 1053 in personnel, safety standards, page 106, under procedure include, in case of emergency, call 911. Policy 1061, personnel use of Iroquois County-owned vehicles, page 118. Under policy change section A, sentence 2, to read, any employee who is authorized to drive an Iroquois County-owned vehicle and who engages in unauthorized use of the vehicle will be subject to disciplinary action, up to and including immediate dismissal. Similarly, any employee who is authorized to drive an Iroquois County-owned vehicle and who permits an unauthorized person to operate or ride in the vehicle will be subject to disciplinary action, up to and including termination. Policy 1060, personnel. Vacation, page 121, under policy, second paragraph, include that the approval of the department head or supervisor will be written. Personnel weapons, page 123. Under policy, include the Concealed Carry Act allows permit holders to store their firearms in a locked container in their vehicle. Policy 1063, personnel weapons, page 123. Under policy, paragraph 4, change the wording to state the county will involve law enforcement before searching an employee's person or their personal property so that law enforcement can determine whether reasonable cause exists. Policy 1068, personnel. Social media policy, page 133. Under policy part D, include the wording media requested to the beginning of the statement. Policy 1069, personnel. Change of job position, page 135, under procedure, part B. Delete the last part of the sentence stating, according to the progressive discipline policy. Sure noted appointments will be made at the county board meeting. Correspondence was distributed with the committee. There was no old business, there was no new business, and there was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Alt and seconded by Alfo to adjourn at 10:59 a.m. That motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for the adoption of the report. Is there a second? Mrs. Alfo. Are there any questions or comments regarding the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Bowers,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
McGinnis, McTaggart,
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
Watts,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Barron's.
Yes.
Carried.
Okay, Management Services Committee, Mr. Behrens.
Your committee, Mr. Chairman, members of the county board, your committee is moved with report of management services and beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. Your committee met at the administrative center on February 6, 2023 at 9 a.m. Members present were Barron, Flowers, Benz, Crow, and Zumwalt. Also present, county board chairman John Scherr, finance manager Jill Johnson, maintenance supervisor Chris Drake, coroner Bill Cheatham, and Chris Landstrom with Twin City Energy Services. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Donna Crowe and seconded by Paul Bowers to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Maintenance supervisor Chris Drake reported included the following. Due to the mild weather we have had so far, Drake has only used half a pallet of salt.
separate
Drake reported all other snow removal equipment is working well. Manager Construction performed additional work on deputy's garage door.
He has to tell us what the
We
rates
were
are today,
elected
because they
with
changed
contacted
it.
to resolve an
Okay.
issue that was found during an inspection with the emergency phone inside the elevator at the courthouse. Ileana Lock Service installed a lock set and made copies of keys for Drake. Drake provided an elevator update stating all materials. Excuse me. Drake provided an elevator update stating all material is in, and TK Elevator anticipates beginning the elevator project within the next few weeks. There were no heat pump or boiler issues for the month. Routine maintenance was done for the buildings, including maintenance on the visitation monitors at the jail. Drake said he has been making routine visits at the animal control building. Drake is considering purchasing a new saw for approximately $150. Management Chairman Barron inquired about the number of original heat pumps left in the building. Drake will get an accurate number and report back to the committee. Barron's also requested an update on the trees the committee discussed planting. Drake said he spoke with the FSA office and they will be holding their tree sale within the next couple months. They gave Drake recommendations on which trees to plant and which trees to steer away from. Drake will gather more information for the committee. A check was received from Walker Farms for fertilizer and limestone reimbursement. Hendricks Drainage was contacted and given contact information for Walker Farms. John Zumwalt will reach out to the landowners about the upcoming tiling project. County Board Chairman John Scherr reported on animal control building stating he continues to work on gathering information for flood-proofing of the building. Drake will look into the air conditioner issue. In regards to the morgue, the committee viewed the building last month as a potential location purchase. The asking price is $175,000, and the seller is interested in reducing the price. Sure shared information on office building in the area that has been sold recently at an approximate cost of $30 per square foot. The asking price for the building that was recently viewed amounts to approximately $61 per square foot. The building was purchased for $50,000 about 5 years ago, and improvements have been made to the building. The counteroffer has not been made at this time. Sure listed items that will be done in the building if the county chooses to purchase it. These items include installing an air conditioner, installing an automatic garage door opener, possibly building a partition wall. Overhead LED lights will need to be separated in an area of the building. Locks installed during drain system for condensation from the cooler, electrical connections for the cooler, temperature control system for the morgue area, sidewalk repairs, and motion light outside. The seller was initially planning to occupy part of the building and pay the county rent, but has now decided to rent another location to operate out of it. The building is sold to the county. Barron noted that he has visited several potential buildings and asked that they should continue searching for a compatible site. Crowe added that she prefers this property over others and believes it would be best to keep county offices centrally located in Watseka. She does agree that the asking price is high, and when reviewing the EVA, the approximate value of the building is $83,000. She added there is an additional expense of $20,000 for purchasing coolers as well. She stated he doesn't believe the seller will reduce the asking price, and he has continued to look at other building options. Cheatham informed the committee there is a $25 per day charge every time the county utilizes a cooler at Knapp Funeral Home. The committee began discussion on possible counteroffers, and it was decided to continue the conversation in executive session. It is moved by Barron, second by Crowe, to enter into executive session at 9:46 a.m. under 5 ILCS 120/2C5, the purchase or lease of real property for use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. Motion carried by voice vote. It was moved by Crowe and seconded by Benz to come out of executive session at 10:08 a.m. Motion carried by voice vote. The committee discussed the expired electric contract. Chris Landstrom with Twin Cities Energy Services provided the committee with current rates from suppliers as follows. Terminal in commodities. Homefield Energy, March 2023 through May 2023, 0.08653. March 2023 to May 2024, 11.11166. March 2023 to May 2025, 0.01151. March 2023 to May 2026, 0.0979. Constellation, March 2023 to May 2023, 0.08701. March 2023 to May 2024, 0.01555, 0.10555. March 2023 to May 2025, 0.09748. March 2023 to May 2026 at 0.09507. March 2023 to May 2024, 0.09858. March 23 to May 25 at 0.09838. March 2023 to May 2026, 0.09794. Shell Energy, March 2023 to May 2024, 0.09358. March 2023 to May 2025 at 0.09214. March 2023 to May 2026 at 0.09195. Term on all in commodity with capacity pass-through. Energy Harbor, March 2023 to May 2024 at 0.07720. March 2023 to May 2025, 0.07800. March 2023 to May 2026, 0.07830. Shell Energy, March 2023 through May 2024, 0.06555. March 2023 to March 2025, 0.06733. March 2023 to March 2026, 0.06888. Term on all in commodity with capacity and transmission pass-through. IGS Energy, March 2023 through May 2023, 0.04650. March 2023 through May 2024, 0.05690. March 2023 through May 2025, 0.5790. March 2023 through May 2026, 0.05870. Mr. Landstrom recommended selecting an all-in rate for March 2023 through May 2025. If the committee agrees, they will need to select a supplier, and he will provide updated rates at the county board meeting next week. Also, Mr. Landstrom requested information on animal control building so the building can be added to the contract. It's moved by Zumwalt, second by Bowers, to send the electric rates provided by Twin City Energy Services to the county board for their decision. Motion carried by a voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims and moved by Zumwalt, second by Crowe, to pay claims, subject to county board approval. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. During old business, Crowe said she received a report on smart water loan and would like the committee to review the depression next month. There was no new business, and there was no further business before the committee. It was moved by Crowe, second by Mitchell Betts, to adjourn at 10:24 a.m. Motion carried, all those respectfully submitted, and I move for adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the report from the Management Services Committee. Is there a second? Mr. Bowers, are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, and then we'll get into the business about the electric rates.
Crowe,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
sorry, Hughes, McGinnis,
Yes.
McTaggart,
Yes.
Awful, Sure,
Yes.
Watts, Whitlow, Williams, Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Behrens,
Yes.
and Bowers. Motion carried.
Okay, Mr. Landstrom is here with some up-to-date information on the rates and so forth. If you'd be kind enough to take the floor.
Good morning. Bringing you updated rates as of yesterday's business close from all the suppliers that we had talked about last week. Currently, now we're going to April 23 because of the meter read schedule behind Ameren. You have to have so many days prior to the meter read to be able to pick it up. So now we're looking at April 23 meter reads. So April 23 to May 24, Homefield Energy is 0.10632. April 23 to May 25, 0.09824. April 23 to May of 26, 0.09543. Constellation, 0.10412. April 23 to May of 25, 0.09591. April 23 to May of 26, 0.09366. The other option, I'm sorry.
Would it be better to write these up on the chalkboard?
Here.
This is.
Or in a piece of
Here.
paper?
I'm one short. One short for everybody.
Okay, here we go.
Paper, that will work.
Just one short.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I apologize.
Can I ask you a question? What's the categorical differences between
Yeah,
term all-in commodity versus
yeah.
commodity with capacity pass-through and then with transmission?
So to get a full commodity cost, there's 5 line items. Energy, which you can lock in. The rest of the 4 line items are tariffs. So you got line loss, ancillary, transmission, and capacity. Line loss, capacity, transmission, and ancillary are all tariff-based. They can go up if approved by the ICC or FERC. So if one of those is went in for a rate increase and approved by the ICC or FERC, then they can pass those rate increases on to you. What we had seen this last year, starting in June of, get my bearings here, June of 23 to May of 25, capacity was almost nothing. I mean, you were paying like a half a cent per kilowatt hour roughly for capacity. And then when Illinois started decommissioning a lot of the coal plants, a lot of the electric rates went up in general and capacity went through the roof. It went from roughly about 50.005 cents, so half a cent, to about 2.5 cents, just for that one line item. So as many, I think pretty much all of you are Ameren residents, your household right now is probably at about 12.5 cents per kilowatt hour right now. For a lot of years prior to that, you were paying about 4.5 cents. So that's how much everything jumped behind Ameren starting in June of 22 of last year. So the 2 most volatile tariffs in Ameren is transmission and capacity. So a lot of suppliers, since they are so volatile and they have so much swings, they're wanting to potentially pass those through to you instead of locking them in. Now, to let you know the difference, every supplier has what they call a change in law provision in their contract. So even if you lock in all 5 components, the energy, line loss, ancillary, transmission, and capacity, change in law provisions would allow a supplier to pass those increases on to you. So when you do an all-in rate, there is an extra insurance premium built into the all-in rate that you would pay. Sometimes you'll get those increases passed on to you, and some suppliers will not pass them along to you. For this instance, Homefield Energy, which you guys have been with for many years, did not pass those increases on to you from June through the end of the term of the contract. However, I did see several suppliers that did, because it was a big increase, and the way the wording in their provision of their contract allowed them to do that. So that's why I'm bringing to the table, you know, you can have what we've done in the past, or lock in an all-in rate of roughly about 9 cents, or we can lock in all the components, not including capacity, since it is very volatile, and let that pass through a tariff cost as an additional line item charge. And then the other option would be lock everything in and let capacity pass through as well as transmission pass through. So whatever they're going to be from every June through May behind Ameren, you will pay whatever the tariff cost is. So that's the difference between these 3 different divisions I have here. Does that hopefully clarify your question?
Just partially.
Partially?
Ameren is not figured in any of these.
This is strictly commodity. Delivery cost is whatever you're going to pay from Ameren. So they go in for a rate increase, whether you're buying your commodity from Ameren or buying it from a third party. Delivery costs are going to be delivery costs. So there's no control over that. So in Illinois, deregulations allow people to buy their natural gas as well as their electricity needs from alternative suppliers. So we're only strictly talking about commodity costs here.
Just for comparison's sake, when we were in the meeting, didn't we say we're currently paying about 4.5 cents?
When the contract came up, yes, it was about 4.5 to 5 cents per kilowatt hour.
So I just want the board to be aware that it looks like we could almost be doubling the cost.
Yeah, so most people behind Ameren doubled, if not almost tripled, their cost. If you're buying directly from Ameren, you're pretty much tripling it, because DS2 accounts, what your accounts are behind Ameren, you would be paying right now 0.14334 cents per kilowatt hour if you're buying directly from Ameren. So that's how bad, unfortunately, it's gotten behind Ameren. Used to be Ameren was the cheapest in Illinois over ComEd, but now ComEd's cheaper than Ameren customers. Yeah, so a lot of this is strictly to our politicians in Springfield pushing for green energy. I like all energy, however, I am a firm believer still in coal and nuke and all that because it is the cheapest. But, you know, unfortunately, green power is not going away. So, with that being said, rates are going to be a whole lot higher than they used to be.
Currently, what's the cost of capacity pass-through?
Capacity right now, if it would get passed through by itself, is about 2.5 cents a kilowatt hour.
So you can add that on to these figures.
No, so the all-in, you would not. The ones in the middle column, what the capacity pass-through, that you would.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So Ameren's new auction will come out here April, May for a June start. For June of 23 through May of 24. We will know then what the capacity rates will be for that specific time. It's expected that capacity rates will be as strong as they are now. There's nobody looking to see capacity rates drop significantly like it was in the past. So here's the thing. So if you lock in an all-in rate right now, and for some reason capacity drops, you're locked in at that higher rate. But if you do a capacity pass-through, then you will be whatever what the capacity rate will be for that specific time period. Likewise, if you do capacity and transmission both as pass-throughs, you will pay whatever the tariff says at that given time. So that way, like I say, in that instance here, you're adding about 3.5 cents, 3.5, yeah, about 3.5 to 4 cents for those two items alone.
So the transmission is about 1.5, you're saying?
Yeah. And I know that they're looking for another transmission increase. So unfortunately, the grid is way old, and the utilities should have been updating the grids a long time ago. And it's like we're scrambling to get the grids up where they need to be.
So with your crystal ball, which
Right now, yeah, so as of yesterday, my recommendation would be looking at either going with Homefield or Shell Energy for a all-in with capacity pass-through. As of yesterday, Homefield Energy is 0.06986 and Shell Energy is 0.06879. Now, the difference between Shell and Homefield is this. So Shell will give you a 25% swing based on historical. So if you used 10,000 kilowatt hours historically, and if you all of a sudden use more than that, then you're subject to buying the additional or selling back at the market rates. With Homefield, if whatever you use is what you're going to be charged at. So that's the difference between the contractual languages between the two suppliers. I did look at your historical information. You had a couple times where you went over or under 25% in the past, but not a lot. I will say that I've sold and worked with Homefield Energy for many years behind Ameren, and they're a very reputable supplier. Yes, they are a little bit higher in price, but my recommendation would be looking to recommend Homefield Energy to the county board for whatever today's rate is. I hate to say that because I don't know what their rate is as of today because markets are so volatile. I've seen it where the prices got pulled 3 times in one day. That's how bad it's gotten here in Illinois. But as of yesterday, we were looking at 0.06986 for an all-in rate with capacity pass-through with Homefield Energy, and that would be my recommendation to the board.
So you're recommending that we go ahead and take the risk with the additional costs for capacity increases at the next auction and go with the, like you just said, 06986?
If the auctions come in significantly higher than what's expected, as per, like I said, the language in suppliers' contracts, they could pass that through to you. So I'm very transparent with what's in contracts, just like the 25% swing and or change of law provisions in contracts. If capacity or transmission wasn't as volatile as it has been, I would be saying let's lock in an all-in rate, no problem with all 5 components. But yeah, at this point, I'm more comfortable saying let's do the April 23 to May of 26 term at the 6986 as of yesterday and see where it comes in today and sign that contract. You are the customer, you make the decision, so it's up to you which term you would want to go with.
What you're proposing though isn't listed here because you don't have Homewood listed under the with capacity, correct?
Yeah, I do. With capacity is up on top. So Homefield Energy with capacity is 9543. They are higher. It's the stuff that went out today.
I thought mine just says all the commodity.
Yeah, so
It talks about with capacity.
it should be the paper that went around today.
the one I handed out, we've got the new.
New pricing is on the handout. Sorry.
And it's like this is a major change even since the meeting.
It can go up and it can go down. Yeah, and like I say, from the meeting last week, it went from a March 23 availability meter read to an April 23 based on the number of meter reads allotted or days prior to a meter read allotted behind Ameren. You know, the other option would be get into 2025 and hope things get a little bit better in 2025. Honestly, I don't think energy in general can probably get better until late 2025, but yeah, I wish I had better news. It is a very, very volatile situation right now. I'm trying to keep costs down as much as we can, but it is, yes, you are looking at increases, and I'm trying to use my 23 years to help you make the best decision available.
I think one thing we ought to keep in mind, as Mr. Lindstrom has pointed out, the state is moving towards more green energy, and that's the most expensive form there is. So the chances of these rates going down in a few years is probably pretty minimal. That's probably one reason why you see a lot of private homes putting up solar in this day and age when you drive around the county.
There is a lot of federal and state dollars and everything thrown at solar right now. If it wasn't for all the incentives and stuff, you would see these solar panels everywhere.
Well, the solar panels have a couple problems. One is there's 4,000 containers out on the west coast. Well, and number two is manufacturing, what happens in certain machinery is controlled by China. The larger wafers that are made in the more efficient panels are not currently available in the States.
We're not going to debate solar here. We're talking about our electricity
I'm
rates.
just saying, we're not gonna have panels a long time. Now, if we reduce the total demand by, say, swapping out these light fixtures, et cetera,
As long as you're 100% swing, like with home field, no problem. And I recommend doing all the energy efficiency programs that you can to make yourself use less electricity at all possible.
And for those new on the board, we did that a couple of years ago. And that's the report that Donna had referenced.
The smart watt.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, everything has been upgraded as much as possible in the last 5 years.
And just to let you know, this does not include, I did not get bills for the animal, is it the animal place that you just bought?
Yeah.
I did not get any energy bills for them, so this is only the three main accounts that we've been serving, so we would have to add in or get a contract for animal control whenever it's available. So like I said, I did not receive the invoices on those.
Working on getting one of them. Found an issue of why we weren't getting any invoices. They were billing us, so.
I had a hunch.
We're working on it, so as soon as I get them, I'll get them to you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to go with Home Field Energy, all-in commodity with a capacity pass-through
Say the rate, will you, John?
at the rate of .06986.
I'll second. And just realize that's the rate he had yesterday. As soon as he hung up the phone, that could have changed.
Yeah, I will, as soon as this is done, I will order the contract, and then I just need an email who to send it to via DocuSign. But yeah, I apologize, things are not as good as it used to be where I could guarantee I can hold that rate. It's not that way anymore, unfortunately.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any further?
When we vote on this, can you go and check the rate and come back in and tell us?
Yeah, I can call my supplier right now and find out if she can give it to me
So
real
we know
quick.
when we
Yeah,
leave the meeting what the rate we actually have is?
yeah, and then I'll give you my card to let me know which email I need to send it to.
Okay.
Okay.
It'll probably go to Jill, so. Okay.
Yes, I will do that.
We have a motion and a second. We have any further questions or comments? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Geiger,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
McTaggart.
Yes.
Awful, Sure,
Yes.
Watts, Whitlow, Williams,
yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt, Barron,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Pro.
Yes. Carried.
All right, next we have the ARPA committee report, Mr. Ault.
Mr. Chairman, members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred American Rescue Plan Act would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at Administrative Center on February 6, 2023 at 10:30 a.m. Members present were Dupat, Crow, Offutt, Shore. Alt was absent. Also present, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, Treasurer Bert Elbert, County Board Member Mitch Pence, Pat Neal, and Greg Neely with a natural high, Dave Trumbull with Hometown Family Foods, Cheryl Davis with Martin Township, Richard Swing, Wayne Johnson, and Brian Moser with System Park American Legion Post. Todd and A.G. Arsenal with Beaver Township, and Roger Hefke with Ridgeland Township. It was moved to call, the meeting was called to order. It was moved by Scher and seconded by Crowe to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There was no public comment. Committee began the review of the ARP application as follows. Information for hazardous pay to Iroquois County employees was given to the committee for their review. It is moved by Crowe and seconded by Walter to table the discussion on the hazardous pay until the next meeting. A roll call vote was taken. Crowe A, Alpha A, Sure A, Ducat abstained, a motion carried. Application number 60, a natural high. Pat Neal with a natural high gave an overview of the singing group stating that they have been in Iroquois County staple for the past 40 years. A national high performance at weddings, church events, and many fundraisers and festivals in the county. The group currently has 16 members representing 12 churches and 10 Iroquois County committees. There is no charge for their service, but they do accept free will donations. Members of the group are not paid, volunteers their time and travel expenses. Since 2018, donation total $13,000 have been received. Ms. Neal noted only one performance was done in 2020 due to the pandemic. It does incur regular expenses such as insurance, equipment, music, license, and travel expenses. In Natural High is a budget $15,000 to pay for their insurance over the past 2 years. Purchase new sound equipment, pay off a loan for their van. Crowe inquired on what item they would consider to be of utmost importance. Ms. Neal responded, paying off the loan for the van is highest priority. Finance Manager Jill Johnson requested a loan payoff, a loan with copies of their insurance bills and canceled check. The committee will revisit their application next month with all items being received. Application 76, Hometown Family Foods. Hometown Family Foods is requesting an additional $2,981 to allow them to finish the parking lot project. The committee previously awarded Hometown Family Foods $17,748 for the project. Dave Trumbull with Hometown Family Foods explained the parking lot was to be completed in the spring due to construction being done in downtown Gilman. Initial quote given to Mr. Trumbull has increased by $2,981 for materials and labor. During discussion, Mr. Trumbull said he would be able to pay for a portion of the cost. It was moved by Alford and seconded by Crowe to accept a resolution awarding Hometown Foods $1,500. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Application 110, Martin Township, Cheryl Davis with Martin Township provided the committee with additional details on material being used for their project. Treasurer Kurt Albers reports on their financial statement stating approximately $200,000 allocated for the project for the town. Town fund up to $100,000 from road and bridge fund. The committee reviewed the bids presented and opted to fund adding on to their existing building to reskin their building. It was moved by Scher and seconded by Offutt to adopt a resolution awarding $71,058 to Martin Township. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Application number 113, Ridgeland Township. Ridgeland Township is requesting $130,000 to replace their 55-year-old building. Estimated for the project was provided Roger Hetke with Ridgeland Townships said they be furnishing the gravel and interior of the building will be done by the township. The committee requested a detailed material list and a financial statement. Application number 119, Cessna Park American Legion Post 527. The Cessna Park American Legion is requesting $31,497.95 for building repairs. The building is utilized frequently by nonprofits in the area at no cost and has also been used as a polling place. It was moved by Crowe and seconded by Offutt to adopt a resolution awarding $31,000 to Cessna Park American Legion Post 527. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Application 120, Township of Beaverville. Committee previously awarded the Township of Beaverville $108,993 for a cold storage building. In December, Todd and Angie Arsenault reported a down payment was given to Sharp Garage Doors, but the work was never completed. The owner of the company has since been arrested in Pulaski County, Indiana for theft. The police reports have been filed and matters have been turned over to the state's attorney, Jim Devine. A new application is being submitted in the amount of $25,386 for 2 garage doors and a concrete threshold. Crowe offered some suggestions such as filing an insurance claim and/or filing a claim with the vendor's bonding company if they are licensed and bonded. Mr. and Mrs. Arsenault said they will research these items and provide the committee with an update next month. There was no old business. There was no new business. As there was no further business come before the committee, was moved by Scher and seconded by Crowe to adjourn at 12:01 p.m. Motion carried by voice vote. All of those directory is respectfully submitted and a move for adoption of this report.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the ARPA committee report, seconded by Mrs. Awful. Do we have any questions or comments on the report?
How much more money is left of this?
Jill?
It's like a never-ending nightmare.
No, approximately.
You caught her off guard.
We have $1,060,361.94 available. That has not been awarded.
But we have commitments for some of it, such as our employees and and other projects that we haven't completed yet, so.
County clerk and also our morgue situation.
Right, yep.
So I thought that at one time we had backed those numbers out where we've got them estimated and we were at something like 600,000 and then we made some awards this month and so it's getting down there.
I just want to make sure that that is not including my money. It should be, the stuff that was awarded to me should have already been for voting devices.
This is, that amount that I just stated is what we have left that has not been awarded.
Okay.
Any earmark that the committee has talked about, I don't keep track of that. I just keep track of what we've actually awarded, which was your voting
Perfect,
equipment.
okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was still a go.
Nope, you've been awarded.
Okay, marvelous.
Your money is earmarked.
Okay, all right.
Is there any further questions or comments on the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Hughes. McGinnis. McTaggart. Sorry, I have to write that out. Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Watts. Whitlow. Williams. Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt. Charlie, do you want to vote on that? Yes. Behrens. Bowers.
Yes.
Crow. Did you say yes, Donna? I'm sorry.
Yes, I said.
Thank you. And Geiger.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay, Health Committee, Mrs. Awful.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the county board. Your committee, to whom was referred health, would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on February 7th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Members present were Awful, Duquette, Geiger, Hughes, and Whitlow. Also present, County Board Chairman John Scher, Interim ICPHD Administrator Eric Cece, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, County Clerk Brian Suver, Special Agent Nathan Rampka with the Illinois State Police, and Special Agent Wendy Corona with the Illinois State Police. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Doug Geiger and seconded by Jim Whitlow to approve the agenda. Motion carried by voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Paul Duquette and seconded by Geiger to pay the claims subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. There were no public comments. Finance Manager Jill Johnson reported to registration deposit for January was $3,855. Notices will be mailed out this week for rabies and registration reminders. There are 6 cases currently open, 5 dogs waiting for placement. The animal control officers closed 24 cases in January. The closed cases consisted of 7 dogs running loose, 4 closed bite reports, 5 abandonment cases, 5 well checks, 1 aggressive dog, 1 dog possibly hit by a car, and a bat case. The bat tested negative for rabies. Interim ICPHD Administrator Eric Cece distributed the monthly summary report of the program. Environmental Health issued 54 permits to licensed food establishments. There were an increase in the free radon test kits being given. CC discussed radon mitigation. Community Health continues to administer vaccines, and CC noted there was a decrease in COVID-19 vaccines given. There were 6 animal bite reports investigated. There were also 2 COVID-19 outbreaks occurring at a long-term care facility. Reportable communicable disease investigations included 4 influenza invasive cases reported with only 1 determined to be a case. Influenza with ICU admission reported 2 cases with 1 death. The rabies case came back negative, and the rubella case also came back as negative. There is currently 1 patient on tuberculosis medication, and 1 X-ray referral was given. CC reminded the committee that the health department offers Narcan training and Narcan kits. There were 262 vision screenings and 319 hearing screenings for children. Senior Services continues with their program for individuals aged 60 and older. The program ends June 30th. CC reported an employee gave their resignation last week. The radon grant contract has been received. The mass vaccination grant ended June 30th. Another vaccination grant is expected. CC addressed the recent complaint received about an Iroquois County food establishment. When a complaint is received, the health department must follow up. CC said paperwork was completed, and when the establishment was visited, the issue had already been resolved. CC informed the committee that President Joe Biden and Governor J.B. Pritzker announced the end of the COVID-19 emergency as of May 11th. The health department will continue to work with outbreaks and isolation and quarantine advice. Lastly, the Board of Health approved the farmers market annual fee of $50. It is unknown if the county's ordinance will have to be changed as well. CC will contact State's Attorney Jim Devine regarding the ordinance matter. CC explained that previously vendors had to apply for a temporary permit costing $75. It was moved by Ducat and seconded by Geiger to approve the farmers market annual fee of $50. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. There was no old business. During new business, the committee reviewed our ABRA's quarterly report and profit and loss statement. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Ducat, seconded by Hughes, to adjourn at 9:32 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, and I move for its adoption, please.
We have a motion to approve the Health Committee report, seconded by Mr. Geiger. Do we have any questions or comments on the report?
I had a question. Did the state police address the committee at all?
No, they just came and observed.
What,
They were looking for you.
what's, where are you, I know this is for the health department board, but what, since you're on that, what's the status on the replacement? And I just had another question too. Why did the health department board decide to have potential applicants apply to the office rather than to like a board member or something? And that,
What's your question?
well, two things. Where are you at in the hiring someone process? And second,
You're talking about where did they, for their applications?
right.
They were directed to the county's HR person, which isn't the county board office, Amanda.
All the things online say to submit them to the executive assistant in the ICPHD office. I don't know what his name is. Let me look. A guy.
Tyler Robinson.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of went through some of them at finance. We had a few.
Yeah, Mr. Stacy's here. He could probably answer your question better.
Well, it wasn't his decision to decide where the resumes go, though. I assume that's the board.
No,
It was your decision?
not necessarily, no.
Somebody had to decide.
But the Board of Health typically doesn't handle day-to-day operations. Of course, the Board of Health is going to handle who receives the permanent position for ICDHC administrative. In the meantime, my office is just receiving the applications, they're put into a folder. And that's it. When the Board of Health members want to review them, they're given them, and they have started to review them.
Okay. It just seems like a conflict of interest there.
I guess the question that I had was in the report here, it talks about the fee for the farmer's market, and you were gonna talk to Mr. Devine. Can you tell us what that result is?
No result yet. Mr. Devine has not had a chance to get back to us. I believe the committee approved that, pending Mr. Devine to get back, so if the board here needs to table that until next month, I understand. Well, I have those here, just a correction. The mass vaccination grant, that's not just small.
Where is that at?
That would be on
Here,
the first page. The
Yeah.
got it.
end of the first paragraph where I started my report.
Okay.
We haven't heard from the state's attorney on the $50 fee. We can't approve it.
I think you can approve the $50 fee. It's just a matter of updating an ordinance. And we can do that with final approval, but I think, so they can have business go on. I would think that you could do it, but there's a lot of times you have ordinances that we don't have in hand. doesn't matter to me.
Okay, what she's saying is that we can probably go ahead and approve that $50 fee, and if we determine that our ordinance has to be modified or changed, we can do that after we hear back from Mr. Devine. That wouldn't have any effect upon them going ahead and charging the $50 fee, so. That, you have a question about that, Mrs. Crowe? Okay. I just kind of saw you back there, look like you want to say something.
I do, but it's a general comment.
Okay, go ahead.
This is just a general comment about what we have available in our county. And we do have a lot of health services through the Public Health Department. And the reason this is on my mind is I recently became aware of an acquaintance who has breast cancer and had not had a mammogram for many, many years because there was no health insurance. And I just think that is the saddest situation. And I would just like for the board, when they, or anyone here, to be aware that no woman has to go without health care, that there are programs available through our public health department. And if you become aware of a situation where you can help or make a suggestion, to send them to our health department so they can continue with their annual health checkups. And it's, like I said, it just doesn't have to happen that way. There are options, and spread the word.
Okay, very good. Do we have any other questions or comments on the Health Department report? Health Committee report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
McGinnis,
Yes.
McTaggart,
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
Watts, Whitlow, Williams, Zumwalt,
Yes.
Halt, Barron's,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Crowe,
Yes.
Geiger,
Yes.
and Hughes.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Tax and Zoning Committee, Mrs. Awful.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred tax and zoning would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on February 7th, 2023 at 9:38 a.m. Members present were Paul Ducat, Barbara Awful, Doug Geiger, Steve Hughes, and Jed Whitlow. Also present, County Board Chairman John Schur, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, Treasurer Kurt Alberts, County Clerk Brian Suver, Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yergel, EMA Director Eric Cece, and Jacob Marquez with Illinois Grain and Seed Equipment. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Awful and seconded by Geiger to approve the agenda. Motion carried by voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Whitlow and seconded by Awful to pay the claims subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. During public comments, Jacob Marquez with Illinois Grain and Seed Equipment introduced himself to the committee. Mr. Marquez is the controller for IGSE. IGSE is a family-owned business based out of Assistant Park with 30 total employees, 10 of which are part-time. There were only 12 full-time employees 3 years ago, and IGSE is looking to continue to grow their business. They're planning to build an 80 by 240 building on their current property in Cissna Park. As IGSE begins to prepare a budget for this building, the size would be and the possible abatement process. The committee recommended Mr. Marquez get in contact with Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yergler. The revolving loan fund was also suggested. The department heads gave their monthly reports. County Clerk Brian Suver reported the annual report from the Myrtle Pond Trust is on file in the County Clerk's office and available for anyone to review. Suver also reported on House Bill 3878 that was passed on February 3rd. The bill requires the recorder to collect an additional amount for the rental housing support program. Iroquois County does not have a rental housing support surcharge. However, the law is not 100% clear on the total amount to be collected. It will either be an additional $9 or $10. When this was first established in 2005, a $10 fee was collected for the program, with $9 being transferred directly to the state of Illinois and $1 is the county's general fund, of which 50 cents is to be used for our local rental housing support administration. In 2013, a change in law required only $9 to be collected and the entire fee was transferred to the state of Illinois. Iroquois County was still able to collect the additional $1 with 50 cents going into the county's general fund, and 50 cents were going into the recorder's automation fund. This new charge or change in law calls for an additional $9 to be collected. Super said there is currently a fee of $57 for every recorded document, so the new fee will either be $66 or $67 of the RHSP surcharge applies. Super noted that she has questions regarding the bill because there is some confusion on whether or not the county will collect an additional $1. She is working with the Recorders Association to get an explanation on this. Once the confusion is cleared up, Super will present an ordinance to the committee for approval of the revised fees. The Recorder's Office has to provide a 60-day notice for the increase in recording fees. Super also provided all amounts collected over the past 2 years dating $3,133.54 was collected on an average per month between 2021 and 2022, and $3,540 was collected on average per month between 2021 and 2021, or 2020 and 21. Treasurer Kurt Albers reported his office is preparing to mail mobile home bills next month. In the past, liens were filed if a mobile home bill wasn't paid. If a mobile home bill goes unpaid now, the property will be included in the annual tax sale. The county is owed between $40,000 and $50,000 in back mobile home taxes. Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yugler reported the assessment office continues to work through the board of review phase for the 22 assessment year. An employee in the assessment office is currently taking classes with the Illinois Property Assessment Association to get her certification. Her plan to step into Yugler's position is progressing, and the Policy and Procedure Committee will meet with her next month. The Planning and Zoning report for January was distributed to the committee as follows. Building permits January 2023, agriculture 0, residential 4, wind tower 0. Building permits fiscal year 2023, residential 7, agriculture 0, and wind tower 0. Building inspections January 2023, 61. No zoning board of appeals. Yugler has held interviews with the planning and zoning administrator position and plans to offer the position to one of the candidates this week. County Board Chairman John Scher discussed Public Act 1021123 with the committee stating it was passed on January 27th. The county passed a resolution last year opposing the act. A copy of Public Act 1021123 was given to the committee to review. This act covers changes to the solar and wind farm oath. The county has been given 120 days from the passage of this act to amend the solar and wind ordinances to be in compliance. Committee members will be given copies of the wind and solar ordinances. Next month, the committee can begin discussing the changes to be made. Scher said he has already alerted the state's attorney. It is unknown if other counties are found in class action lawsuit. There was no old business, and there was no new business. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Alpha and seconded by Steve Hughes to adjourn at 10:18 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectively submitted, and I move for adoption.
We have a motion to approve the tax zoning committee report. Do we have a second? Mr. Whitlow. Are there any questions or comments regarding the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
McTaggart?
Yes.
Awful? Sure.
Yes.
Sorry. Watts? Whitlow?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Zumwalt?
Yes.
Alt?
Yes.
Behrens?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Crow? Geiger?
Yes.
Hughes?
Yes.
And McGinnis?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Judicial and Public Safety Committee, Mr. Whitlow.
Mr. Chairman and members of the County Board, your committee, to whom referred to Judicial and Public Safety, would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the courthouse on February 8, 2023 at 3:01 p.m. Members present were Whitlow, Hughes, Watts, and Williams. Mitchell Vince was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Scher, Sir Clint Brzee, Judge Mike Sable, State's Attorney Jim Devine, and ETS Director Eric Raymond. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Steve Hughes and seconded by Raymond Williams to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Sheriff Clint Brzee presented the monthly report to the committee as follows. Lincoln Longfellow was hired for part-time hours in the jail, and he is very eager to begin his career with Iroquois County. Brzee hopes to be able to offer him a full-time position in the future. The investigator assisting DCFS will begin February 28th. The body scanner for the jail should be received in late March. The MAR grant is being utilized to update equipment at the jail and to assist with nursing staff, mental health, and options on telehealth. Discussing a switchover from Secrets to Homeware for the inmate phone system. Tablets will be provided and additional revenue will be collected. The law library will also be provided on a tablet. Brzee continues to work on the Starcom radio solution. The body cam trial period in the jail has ended. Brzee is looking into grant funding for a 5-year contract. Brzee discussed a proposal for a state's attorney's sheriff's office/sheriff's office investigator. The position will handle all body cam video redaction and dissemination for the sheriff's office and the state's attorney's office. Brzee has requested correctional officers routinely visit the courthouse for added security to the building. 49 arrest intakes in January, 38 male, 11 female. January jail population, daily average population is 23.23. Average length of stay, 78 days. 17 male, 4 female, 1's on ankle bracelet. January medical, 2 hospital emergency room prompt care visits this month, 0 IMH doctor appointments, 1 mental health visit to the jail, 21 nurse practitioner visits every other Thursday, 12 inmate medical and intake exams, 1 dentist visit, 3 IMH visits, lab, 3 telehealth visits, 0 Duane Dean Clinic in Kankakee methadone, 0 Gibson area mental health, 1 inmate started amphetamine. Jail overtime in January, 28 hours paid, 66 hours to comp, and part-time hours for January 6. The committee reviewed the probation and court services activity report for January. Judge Mike Sable reported some upcoming staffing changes. Assistant Public Defender is resigning effective February 24th. The county contracted Public Defender Elsie Schilling will be transitioned into Miss Mansberger's position. Ms. Schilling position will be filled by Jamie Boyd from Kankakee. Scott Munich was hired as a new bailiff. Sable also noted the increase in the number of fitness evaluations. These are beyond his control and have to be done if an inmate appears unfit for trial. State's Attorney Jim Devine reported he expects to hire a new employee in March. Devine presented the annual resolution for the state's attorney's appellate prosecutor. Their annual fee is $8,000, which is based on the size of the county. They handle all the county's appeals and offer free training. It was moved by Hughes and seconded by Williams to approve the annual resolution for the state's attorney appellate prosecutor. A roll vote was taken, motion carried. The committee reviewed Circuit Court Clerk Lisa Hines' report. ETS Director Eric Raymond distributed his monthly report to the committee. Raymond reported 3 telecommunicators attended an active shooters training. 2 telecommunicators reviewed their EMD license. Charlie Daniels was hired to fill the vacant telecommunicator position and is doing well. There was no old business, there was no new business. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Scott Watts and seconded by Hughes to pay the judicial and public safety claims, subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Watts, seconded by Williams to adjourn the meeting at 3:35 p.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by Mayor President, and I would move for its adoption.
We have a motion to approve the Judicial Public Safety Committee report. Do we have a second? Mr. Watts, are there any questions or comments on this report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Awful?
Yes.
Sure?
Yes.
Watts?
Yes.
Whitlow?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Zumwalt?
Yes.
Alt?
Yes.
Behrens?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Crowe? Geiger?
Yes.
Hughes?
Yes.
McGinnis?
Yes.
And McTaggart?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Finance IT Committee, Mr. McTaggart.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred Finance IT would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on February 9th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Members present were McTaggart, Behrens, Bowers, Geiger, Watts, Alt, and Watts. Alt and McGinnis were absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Schur, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, Sheriff Clint Brzee, County Clerk Brian Suver, Treasurer Kurt Albers, Myron Munyon with Compass Insurance. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Geiger and seconded by Behrens to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Myron Munyon with Compass Insurance reported he will forward the new insurance policy to the Finance Office. Munyon informed the committee of an upcoming conference being held by the ICRMT on May 24th and May 25th. Registration information was left with the committee. Susie Werner with Homestar Insurance reported via email stating the claim run from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Envision is going great and there have been no missed claims or reimbursements. Department heads gave their monthly reports. They are as follows. County Clerk Suver reported she spoke with the tax committee about House Bill 3878, which increases the reporting fees by a minimum of $9, possibly $10. The legislature has passed this bill that increases the rental housing support surcharge that is assessed to each recorded document. In 2005, the $10 surcharge was enacted, with $9 being transferred directly back to the state of Illinois. Iroquois County has never received an allocation back because we do not have a housing authority, but it was decided that another $9 was needed for this surcharge. Super added $1 for the surcharge was allocated for the county to keep with 50 cents going to the general fund, 50 cents to the Recorder's Automation Fund. Super said the Recorders Association believes that the surcharge has been increased by $10, but after reading the bill, Super does not agree with how it is stated. State's Attorney Devine will be reviewing the new bill and old bill to determine if the county will charge the additional $1. County Treasurer Albers reported mobile home bills will be mailed soon. Albers will be transferring funds to a certificate of deposit at Iroquois Federal for 4.05%. Sheriff Brzee reported the body X-ray scanner for the jail is expected to arrive in late March. The MAR grant has been utilized to update equipment at the jail to assist with nursing staff, mental health, and options on telehealth. There is discussion on switching the inmate phone system from Securus to HomeWave. Brzee provided a vehicle update stating 3 vehicles have been purchased as of today. Ballistic vests will need to be replaced with deputies by the end of December. Brzee is looking into grant funding for the purchase of the vests. The StarCom radio solution is ongoing. Brzee said he was waiting on pricing for the equipment and tower locations. The body cam trial period ended in the jail with Getac and Motorola. Brzee will be researching funding for a 5-year contract. A position for the state's attorney office, sheriff's office investigator was proposed. This employee will be responsible for handling all body cam video redaction and dissemination for both offices, among other duties. Perzini has asked the correctional officers to routinely visit the courthouse for additional security. And Finance IT Chairman suggested combining the State's Attorney, Sheriff's Office Finance, investigator position with the DCFS deputy position. Finance Director Jill Johnson reported she continues to work on the fiscal year 23 audit. County Board Chairman John Schur reported an all-day conference in Kankakee is being held on March 10th to discuss the rivers and flooding matters. Admission for the conference is free. Super presented a resolution on increasing election judge salaries by $15 for their base pay and $5 for attending training. Super said there's approximately 150 judges per election. The increase is already in the budget for the year. It was moved by Geiger and seconded by Bowers to approve the resolution increasing election judge salaries. A roll call vote was taken. The motion carried. Schur provided information regarding the changes made in the bargaining agreement for the deputies, sergeants, and lieutenants. The new contracts have been signed by the employees, the union representative, and Sheriff Clint Perzini, and now needs to be approved by the county board. Schur added that there have been issues with the county's labor attorney over the past few years, and a decision has been made to terminate his association with the county. State's Attorney Devine will be searching for a new attorney. At this time, Devine will be responsible for completing the correctional officer's contract and telecommunicators contract. It was moved by Behrens and seconded by Watts to approve the bargaining agreements for deputy sergeants and lieutenants. A roll call vote was taken and the motion carried. Continued discussion was held on the proposed meeting and date regarding joint dispatch fees for 2023. Schur continues to follow progress of 911 advisory board, but there hasn't been much change. He met with the 911 board in Champaign last month. Discussion was also held regarding joint dispatch budget being presented sooner due to other entities finalizing their budgets mid-year each year. The Taggart said he will attend the next ETSB board meeting to propose this idea. Committee reviewed the claims. Johnson informed the committee of an additional claim being submitted for approval for court transcription in the amount of $360 for Jennifer Shinke. It was moved by Geiger and seconded by Bowers to pay the claim subject to board approval. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. There was no old business, there was no new business. As there was no further business come before the committee, it was moved by Bowers and seconded by Behrens to adjourn at 9:42 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, and I move for its adoption.
A motion on the floor to approve the Finance IT Committee report, seconded by Mr. Bowers. Are there any questions or comments regarding the report?
I just have a correction where it talks about the election judge salary resolution. It needs to say that the salaries are being increased by $15 for their base pay and an additional $5 for those that attend the training and work on election day. So they're getting a total of $20 more if they attend training and work on election day. They're only if they don't attend training, then they'd only be getting the $15, just to make that clear.
So what's the total now for everybody who does everything and works in election?
As far as for attending the training and working on election day, they get $165, and then there's an additional $15 that they'll get paid for just attending the training alone. And that's if they don't work on the election day.
Mr. Raymond?
When it says, the first paragraph from the bottom, he met with the 911 board in Champaign last month, which really should be, met with a member of the 911 State Advisory Board in Champaign last month.
Okay.
That board is a open meeting board, and I would hate to have that construed as a meeting with that full board.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Yes, I will. Schur?
Yes.
Watts?
Yes.
Whitlow? Williams? Zumwalt?
Yes.
Alt? Behrens? Bowers? Crow?
Yes.
Geiger?
Yes.
Hughes? McGinnis?
Yes.
McTaggart?
Yes.
And Awful.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, Transportation and Highway Committee, Mr. Zumwalt.
Mr. Chairman and the members of the county board, the committee to whom was referred tax, transportation, and highway would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before it. Your committee met at the Iroquois County Highway Building on February 10th, 2023 at 9:03 a.m. Members present were John Zumwalt, Donna Crow, Raymond Williams, Charlie Alt, and Chad McGinnis were absent. Also present were County Engineer Joel Moore and Assistant County Engineer Doug Butzo and County Board Chairman John Schur. The meeting was called to order. There were no public comments, and it was moved by Donna Crow and seconded by Raymond Williams to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. The claims and financial reports for the months were reviewed. It was moved by Williams and seconded by Crow to pay the bills subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. County Highway, $125,977.39. County Bridge, $7,933.34. County Matching, $6,160.34. TBP, 0. County MFT, $187,520.59. Township MFT, $178.37. Assistant County Engineer Doug Butzo presented a resolution for the county bridge funds on the Sheldon DR. The matching cost for the county is $20,000. It was moved by Crow and seconded by Williams to approve the resolution for the county bridge funds on Sheldon DR. Motion carried by a voice vote. Butzo discussed the engineering agreement for the township bridge inspections. County Engineer Joel Moore noted the Highway Department maintains the contracts and the costs are the road district's responsibility. It was moved by Williams and seconded by Zumwalt to approve the engineering agreement for township bridge inspection. Motion carried by a voice vote. A resolution prepared by the state's attorney Jim Devine authorizing Butzo to sign official IDOT forms was given to the committee for their review. It was moved by Crow and seconded by Zumwalt to approve the resolution for the Assistant County Engineer Doug Butzo to sign official IDOT forms as necessary. Motion carried by a voice vote. Pre-approval on the right-of-way purchase for $450 on County Highway 42 Bridge was discussed. The letting for this is expected to be held in April in Springfield. It was moved by Williams and seconded by Zumwalt to approve the pre-approval for the ROW purchase parcel on CH42 Bridge NTE. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. During new business, Moore informed the committee the annual letting will be held on February 28th at 9 a.m. Also during new business, County Board Chairman John Schur inquired on the City of Watseka's plan to extend Martin Avenue and whether or not there is any concern on the county's end. Moore said he was unaware of the plans but didn't see any issues. Moore requested approval on a resolution for additional county engineers expenditure. The amount allotted for 2022 was $2,000, and the amount expended was $2,635.71. It was moved by Williams and seconded by Zumwalt to recommend approval of the resolution for the county engineer's additional expenses totaling $635.71. Motion carried by a voice vote. There was no old business, and there was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Crow and seconded by Williams to adjourn at 9:34 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted. And I urge for your adoption.
We have a motion to approve the Transportation and Highway Committee report. Is there a second? Mrs. Crow. Do you have a question too?
I have a comment.
Okay.
On page 1, under Butzo discussing the engineering agreement, in that last line, just for the sake of accuracy, I think we should add the amount of that contract. Even though it's paid back by the road districts, we hold the contract, and I can't remember the amount. Was it like 69,000, something like that?
Mr. Butzow is here. He may be able to answer that.
But anyway, I think we should put that amount of that contract in the minute.
$69,645.
$69,645?
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Spend money.
Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Watts?
Yes.
Whitlow?
Yes.
Williams? Zumwalt?
Yes.
Alt? Behrens?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Crow?
Yes.
Geiger?
Yes.
Hughes? McGinnis?
Yes.
McTaggart?
Yes.
Awful? And Sure.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I had one other comment. I'd just like to add that the committee was encouraged to have Joel Moore in attendance at the meeting, and we look forward to his speedy recovery.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the appointments, which you have listed on your agenda in front of you. Do we have a motion to approve those? Mr.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Okay, the appointment on the public health board, the new appointment, she's an RN, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve the appointments? Mrs. Awful, is there a second? Mr. Williams? Are there any questions or comments on the appointments? I would like to point out on the appointments for the Board of Health, we still have one vacancy there that we need to get filled. And on the same thing applies on the appointments for the Old Courthouse Board Management Committee. We have one vacancy there that we want to get filled. If you know anybody that's interested in the management committee for the old courthouse is to be made up of county board members, so I'm looking for one more county board member to volunteer for that. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. That being said, everybody that's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Next, we come to the claims. Everybody was sent a copy of the claims. Do we have a motion to approve? Mr. McTaggart, is there a second? Mr. Bauer seconds. Are there any questions or comments on the claims? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Whitlow?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Zumwalt?
Yes.
Alt? Behrens?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Crow?
Yes.
Geiger?
Yes.
Hughes? McGinnis?
Yes.
McTaggart? Awful? Sure?
Yes.
And Watts?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Is there any old business to come before the board this morning? Mr. Behrens?
Yeah, just to let you know, the dollar amount given on the contract was honored, so that is the amount that the contract will be for.
Okay.
For Electra?
Yes.
Okay.
So we want to make sure and get that in the minutes, home field energy at .06986.
Is there any other old business to come before the committee this morning? Is there any new business to come before the committee, before the board? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Zumwalt, seconded by Mrs. Awful. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting is adjourned.